the salon?
Yes, I am the director, and I was in charge of the arrangements, the adaptation from
Yeah.
the original versions into these new weird versions.
So you're
So I adapted and I arranged the music. Yes,
so I was gonna say you're a romantic. There
I
there is an element
yes,
of
yes,
romance.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's very like immediately when I think of the 40s and 50s, I think of romance. And I was wondering,
Mm.
doing the orchestration of this music, was there something you felt you guys have done different eras, you've done like very 80s vibe. Was there something about the 40s and 50s that you thought A is missing now in music and B might even come back because everything just recycles?
Both A and B, all of the above. First of all, when you look at those decades that you're mentioning, the 40s and the 50s, the era of bailes de salon, ballroom dances, and there's so much variety of good music that I'm not going to say that nobody's paying attention to, but at least in the mainstream, it's not, people are not, or we're not paying attention to it.
Hmm.
So there's just so much to offer. Those eras have so much to offer musically, and whether we like it or not, all that is embedded in our DNA, musical DNA as Hispanics or Latin Americans.
Yeah.
So we're only, even if we're not aware of it, we're only like two steps away from reaching that point. You know, your roots.
Yeah.
So that's one side, and we felt very proud to, in a way, and in our own way, to bring that back to light, and that brings your point B, hoping that people would not only like our the concept, but would probably prompt them to go and dig in like we did ourselves, and merge themselves into this music, into this era, because it's got so much to offer, and it's been sort of in the shadows, abandoned for the most part. So if we accomplish that, it that's going to be quite an accomplishment. I mean, I'm not saying like something huge that people all of a sudden all over are going to start listening to that music, but
You might
if listening to this album brings them, how some of the algorithms work, to other music from that era, that's going to be something.
I think it's definitely inspirational. And I think that um I think it's like I said, things have the tendency to come back. And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that you, in a way, in going back, you predicted something because that's the 40s and 50s is an untapped era. I think the
Yeah.
last time it was tapped, like in an English market, was Amy Winehouse, and she's been gone for
Yes.
like more than a decade. So
Yes.
I think that it will revive people to, at least artists, to kind of like, maybe there's a gold mine I'm not picking from. What I do wonder
hmm
is, how did it inspire you? Did you find that in changing the orchestrations, you also changed a lot in terms of writing, like how you write from the perspectives that you write? That must have been natural, right?
Well, yes and no. As far as the our ears being trained to that music, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, in a way, it's been there
Yeah.
from the hearing perspective, but when it comes to performing, that's a whole different thing. And for us as musicians, that always, we're used to like the rock model, which is, electric guitar, electric bass, drums, and keyboards. That's pretty much like the simple rock. To get out of that um known world and merge ourselves into an unknown world when it comes to performing different instruments, that was quite a process. It wasn't easy. We all got out of our comfort zone, and started messing with other instruments that we never played before.
Yeah.
For instance, I'm the bass player, I'm playing the stand up bass. We
Yeah.
call it toroloche in Zacatecas, the stand up contrabajo, and it's a whole different instrument. I mean, the way you tune it, the way the dynamics of it is just so different from anything I played before. So I had some training and learning to do in relatively small amount of time.
Well, I would think
And
that,
just
like,
and just like I did, everybody else did too. Our drummer got into the percussions, the congas, bongos,
yeah,
timbales. Our keyboardist Julian, he never played the actual like piano, like heavy key piano.
yeah.
He would always play the meaty ones, and it's very different. It's different. We
But
had to learn it.
I would imagine that it was also a level of, I don't know, maybe it's me, like a softness. You have to like soften a little bit. I find that like 1940s, 50s, like cha cha cha, bolero, they're very
Hmm.
like soft in demeanor.
Hmm.
Even though like no
Hmm.
matter how crazy the music gets, it's always a sense of like, let me put my
Hmm.
tie in. I want to look
Yes.
romantic, still graceful. Was that going from these rockers to now like soft kings? Was that the real leap for you in performing?
Yes, the approach is differently. I mean, even now that we are in this weird place where we have both um, concerts ahead. I mean, we have a lot of the cities that are hiring us to do the electric set, and now there are cities that are hiring us to do the noches de salon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculously different. I mean, everything, the setup, the console, the dynamics of it, the way you mic things. I mean, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
So yeah, the approach is completely different.
You guys are becoming actors. You're
It's weird. It's weird.
becoming
We're
actors.
switching.
You're gonna become Leonardo DiCaprio. You're gonna go from Great Gatsby to like super rock, just flipping constantly.
That's how this year's looking for us.
Have you found that you have these two totally different styles, and now you're getting more requests for Noches de Salon? What is the future? Because I would feel a little stumped. I would feel like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Well, on this summer, we're hoping to get together, start working on new music.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet how that's gonna sound, but we know for sure that after this experience, after Noches de Salon, we know that we came out, different musicians,
Yeah.
and there's so much that we learned, so much because again, when you're exploring in different genres, you pick up tricks and different ways of doing music that we were used to.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have a lot more tools in our bag now when it comes to creativity. So it's gonna be interesting. What I'm looking forward to see what kind of music comes out for the next season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I wonder where you're gonna see fueron al salón, where you're gonna go. Where
Hmm.
where's the next Noches de Planeta?
That's a very
Where
good question.
Where
Where do we go now? Where do
do
we
you
go from
go?
here?
Where do you go now? Where do you go now? I One thing I wanted to ask was if you could you invite people, or you were inviting people to go in baile attire and go go like it's Comic-Con, like just changing your personalities, changing your attire for a night. If you could give yourself a character with a name and a storyline that's based on Noches de Salon, what would it be?
Like give myself a character name.
Yeah, yeah, like because it's such an orchestra, it's such a different vibe for you.
Hmm.
And you said you have to put on a little acting. So what is your character name and storyline for Noches de Salon?
I don't know what the name is, but to be honest with you, each time we start that set
Yeah,
live
yeah,
performance, I do I do picture myself as like a trio musician,
Mhm.
like Los Panchos.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I feel like I'm in those shoes. I mean, not musically. I'm of course far miles far from being at that level musically,
Yeah.
but ambience wise, environment wise, I play that role on my mind. Like this is obviously not a rock concert.
Yeah.
So I try to on my mindset is I'm on that mood more like a salon, um more romantic, like you said
Yeah.
earlier. So I haven't come up with a name yet,
Yeah.
but I definitely get on that mentality when we perform those concerts.
Well, if you're gonna go like the Trio Los Panchos route, if I've seen enough movies about like those 1940s bands, you're probably like Rafael Malagang, and you've got your wife and kids, and you smoke cigarettes. And
I
you
got
go
the
in
wife
with
and kids.
because I'm
Don Rafa.
picturing that, you know? I am picturing that. That feels definitely the vibe of the album, which is why I love the concept of telling people to dress up because there is I don't I don't know, God, this is so random. I watched Dune 2 last night. I did a bunch of press for the new Dune movie. And I was thinking to myself, I've never seen a movie feel so full. And it's something that definitely you feel with Noches de Salon. And I know
Mm,
it's a weird word to use, but it feels complete. It feels like there's a whole world in this one album that
oh, for
was
sure.
that you enter and you leave. And it doesn't
And
have any.
you know what's interesting that when we released the album and started touring for the first concerts, we wrote with the flyer with the invitation on our social media just as a mere suggestion. It wasn't even like like you have to, like it suggested that you go dressed up, and we were surprised of the turnout. It's like people got it, just like you're saying, they play the themselves in the picture while they're watching the concert, and they show up dressed up. Guys with their bow or tie, girls where they're dressed,
Yeah.
the gala. And the first concert was in Teatro Diana, Guadalajara. I would say that probably 90% of the crowd were dressed up for the with the attire for the occasion, and
Oh,
it was just the mere suggestion. So people got it, and they contribute to this atmosphere. So when you experience that concert and you look around, if you're just like a random person there, like a journalist covering the concert, you look around and you see the crowd like dressed up. It does add so much to the environment. Like it helps, it enhances it. So we're just that's something we did not expect, and it's happened. It's happened like that. So yeah, we're just very thankful and very happy to realize that people were down for these experiences, and they they got into the role,
yeah.
so to speak. And it's yeah, it's been very very pleasant.
I'm
It's
not
been a very
surprised.
different tour.
I'm
Excuse
not
me.
surprised. I'm not surprised that people were like so ready. I think that especially post pandemic, because I was reading up on
Mm-hmm.
some of your interviews and especially how things have changed in the concert world after the pandemic, or it's just I think people want more because there's also more artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is releasing music and releasing like everybody. Like in the I think the pandemic made everybody a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the opportunity to just stand out also is not just relying on you and your sound because everybody is everybody in a way, but also relying
Mm-hmm.
on how you can make your audience be the star.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Oh
think that's
yes.
what you did, and
And I
just
was especially surprised for the younger generation because I was having doubts like yeah, maybe the older guys, will get into it, but I'm not sure. Like the younger kids, like I don't know if they feel comfortable dressing up and stuff because here in United States, you have your like your proms and your school dances, and people know better, what's it about. But in Mexico, is like we don't. If it's not a wedding, we have no occasion for dressing up like that. We
Hmm.
just don't. So I was, like, will the younger kids do it? And they did it. To my surprise, it's like they're having fun with it. Like, okay, they go with their girlfriends or whatever, their friends, and they're dressed up and they're into it. They're all, with their nice hair and like, wow, like it was such an accomplishment, to be able to create that with the audience. I
Yeah.
mean, and again, it's not like 100% of the audience goes like that, but the majority do. Sure, the majority do.
And I'm sure there's always that one who's like too serious that didn't dress up, but by the end of the night they regret it because they
They
saw
regret it. Yes.
everybody else. They're like, I didn't know we were all gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're nearly wrapping up the interview. I think we've been like 20 minutes, but I did want to ask, I asked you about what character you would be and what would
Hmm.
be the name. Do you have any idea what would be the character and storyline for your brothers? You think it would be easier to give them? And remember, you could screw them in the storyline.
When we were thinking about the visual part of this concert,
Yeah.
we started looking at this orchestras from New Orleans from back in the day, the pioneers of jazz,
Mm,
and the way and I mean it's obvious when you look at the album art. It's obvious, we're all dressed up with our tuxedos, the orchestra's behind us, but that was like the visual look that we embraced. We're not gonna be posing like a rock band or anything. We're gonna be one of those old school like jazz New Orleans orchestra. We wanted to adapt that look. So I feel that whenever we are ready, getting ready to go out there and perform Noches de Salon, we feel like that, because it's not only the usual five enjambres that we're used to. Now we're an orchestra of 12, and we are, one team, and it feels like that. We're like a small orchestra from that era. So that's again, that's the mood we adapt. We embrace.
oh, I love that. I love that. And then,
Yeah, we even use grease on our hair, like to comb our hair. I usually don't wear that,
yeah.
and for those concerts, I have all my greasy hair
Do you
combed
have
back.
more empathy for like your grandparents? Like, does it make you think about them in those areas?
Oh, I always have, always. I've always had so much respect for that music and that era and those musicians back then. Man, they didn't have the technology that we do now, and they were just outstanding, right on musicians. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I think there's always people who argue that technology has like killed musicianship, but I think that you can't kill it. Do you know what I mean? Like the
No,
people who think, oh, it's gone too tech, it's gone too electric. I don't think that dies. There's always going to be, like you, somebody that's like, why don't we take back to the 40s? Why don't we take it
yeah,
back? There'll always be that. So I always wrap up the interviews with like I pull like some motivational cards. Would you like me to, like from tarot or oracle? Just motivation, like positive, only positive. Would you like me to?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Great. So let me pull just
This
positive.
is interesting.
Started doing that, and artists really love that part. So I'm like, of course you do. We're all sensitive,
Okay,
thinking about the future constantly.
let's see what your hand reads.
Ooh, okay. So you got the Page of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, adventure, cheerfulness, and fresh. So you're definitely in the beginning of a new, more exciting era. Let me go.
Yes.
Eight of Swords, feeling trapped. So I feel like I don't know. Eight of Swords is all about if this is what's coming, because this is about the new that's coming. This is about what's leaving. So whatever, if there's an aspect of your life that you felt trapped in, because this is the card
Mm-hmm.
of sadness. kind of
Mm.
feeling a little bit trapped or like just stuck energy. So it doesn't have to be that dark, even though it looks dark. But if you see she's trapped and there's a castle in the back, and what this is,
Mhm.
you're going to begin the journey to your castle. And
Mm.
of cups, new feelings, emotional awakening. So whatever you got, Cancer, Gemini, and Sagittarius. So Gemini is creative, Sagittarius is flashy, and Cancer is emotional. So there's definitely whatever's coming into your life is definitely going to spark you in terms of your mind and how you
Mm.
feel. Yeah, it's all good. Three of Pentacles, the last one, teamwork. So don't be so nervous about the next album. I think it's going to be really really good because the last card I pull is Three of Pentacles, teamwork, alliance. Maybe this is
Mhm.
something the beginning of a new era.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the adventurous part of it, and
Well,
when you're trying to innovate, there's always barriers.